The big healthcare companies are like, you need to see more and more patients, which means less and less time in this big kind of hospital clinic type of thing. The costs are astounding. I mean, it's ridiculous. It shouldn't cost that much to talk to somebody about their lab. You should be able to just Skype with somebody in the comfort of your own home and then talk with a doctor who understands your lifestyle, whether it's lifting, nutrition, or even like running, triathlon. Having a doctor with you in your pocket that you can text and still order labs, still prescribe medicines, but then who gets you, who has time to spend with you. What's cleaner, broccoli or a chicken breast? What does that even mean? You can get in these weird spectrums and try to figure out what that actually means. You can obsess over this healthy eating so much to where it becomes unhealthy. When you obsess over that and then you forget about mental health, sleep, exercise, and physical activity, and then community and having a sense of purpose, because healthy eating is just a component, but it's only one portion of what actual total health and preventive lifestyle medicine is.
Welcome to Stronger You Radio with Mike Dola. Join Mike and friends as they discuss issues to keep you healthy, fit, and on track to create a stronger you. Let's listen in now.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Stronger You Radio. Today I'm very excited to have my actual doctor on the show, Dr. Spencer Nadolsky. Spencer, can you just introduce yourself really quick?
Yeah, as the man Mike said, I'm Dr. Spencer Nadolsky, board certified in family medicine and obesity weight loss medicine. People know me as the doc who lifts, basically a doctor who promotes weightlifting and fitness and nutrition as medicine, kind of in this whole fitness space. I was a former NCAA wrestler at UNC Chapel Hill. I was their heavyweight, so a lot of what I do is kind of using the science of nutrition and exercise that was used to get me good at performance now for health reasons, and went through medical school kind of with that mantra.
Yeah, definitely very experienced. What I love about you, Spencer, is doctors get a bad reputation around nutrition, and I almost feel bad because doctors are some of the most educated people around, and everyone that just kind of learns something about nutrition is kind of like insulting to them. Right. But you have so much experience in it, and working with Steady MD along with Stronger You is what I want to talk to a little bit about today. Can you introduce what Steady MD is really quick?
Yeah, so I'll just give a brief background. So you go through 4 years of medical school, and there isn't actually much nutrition involved. There's like a few weeks involved. And then you pick your specialty, and I did family medicine, which is pretty broad. Cradle to grave. You can work with babies all the way up to grandmas and grandpas, taking care of anything and everything, and you can kind of do what you want to do, be as general as you want, or kind of get as specific as you want. And then you can specialize a little bit further, and I did that with obesity medicine. But after you're done with training, before in the old days, you would kind of be done and you'd put out your shingle and work in your own little private practice. But because of the way the world's changing and the business of medicine, in the 90s, big hospital systems were buying up these little practices. And by doing that, people thought it was great. They didn't have to be businessmen anymore. They didn't have to pay for or clean their own toilets. They didn't have to pay for their employees and do this and that. They were actually employees now, and then they didn't have to worry. But by doing that, they lost all their autonomy. And so when I graduated from residency, so I did my 4 years of medical school and then 3 years of residency, my wife's a Navy doctor, so I knew, I'm not going to be in any one place at any one time. Eventually, I ended up with, one of these big hospital organizations. And I'm sure people listening know they go to their doctor, and most people probably don't get that much time with their doctor, and the doctors don't understand fitness or the nutrition lifestyle so much. And even if they did, they would only have like 5 to 10, maybe 20 minutes with you to even discuss, while also going over all your health and medical issues. So it's kind of an issue. So like I was in one of these practices, and I'm known as kind of this big lifestyle medicine pushing doctor. And it was very frustrating because I wanted to give these, my patients more and more time, but you couldn't. And then the big health care companies are like, you need to see more and more patients, which means less and less time. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying all this to say this new company, Steady MD, wanted to kind of remedy that, or at least be part of the remedy, to basically have a doctor online who you could spend much more time with. By having a doctor online, you actually lower the overhead costs. If you're in a clinic, in this big kind of hospital, clinic type of thing, the costs are astounding. I mean, it's ridiculous how much it shouldn't cost that much to talk to somebody about their labs. You should be able to just Skype with somebody. So with SteadyMD, they figured this and said, well, why not have a low cash fee, similar to like nutrition coaching, low cash fee per month. There's no overhead because it's just a computer and internet, and you're in the comfort of your own home, and then talk with a doctor who understands your lifestyle. So the idea is setting you up with different doctors, whether it's lifting, nutrition, or even like running, triathlons, or even LGBTQ things, something that's more of your lifestyle, and that's somebody that can actually spend a lot of time with you going over health issues, going over labs, and going over lifestyle. So that was the whole idea behind the SteadyMD, having a doctor with you in your pocket, that you can text and still order labs, still prescribe medicines, but then who has time to spend with you. That's a long-winded answer for the short question, but that's essentially it.
I love it, and I immediately was like, wow, this thing is basically what we do with medicine. And I loved it so much because I don't know if I told you this story, but I was in a grocery store and I saw my doctor and I started talking to him and he had no idea who I was. And that's crazy to me that my doctor didn't know my face. Yeah. And like, we work nutrition online and we know our clients better than that. And that's like what we're doing. And when I signed up, I remember I was like, I don't know if it's going to be like I think it's going to be. But then when I text you when I needed my asthma inhaler, and you're like, yeah, okay, what pharmacy? And you call them, and like an hour later, I have this thing. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't have to do anything. And my doctor
saved your life.
You did. You literally saved my life because without my inhaler, I'm just going to pass out on the floor and start convulsing. But yeah, no, that's great. But yeah, man, to transition a little bit, let's talk about like healthy eating, like what it means, what it doesn't mean, what people might need to worry about with their health, what they might not, because we don't really speak on that much because we're not doctors, and touching on the health stuff is kind of like out of our scope. Right. So if someone said to you, doctor, what does healthy eating mean?
Yeah, so I've done a few presentations on this. Other people have, their own interpretations of what healthy eating means. Healthy eating means whatever type of eating is going to make you healthier, right? I mean, like, whatever type of diet or nutrition is going to actually bring you from point A to point B, and point B is healthier. And for some people, that may not be much of a change, and people's health is maybe static. They're already super healthy. There's not really much they're going to be able to do. But for most of my patients, for most of the population, probably for most of the people that join your group, the initial healthier eating is going to have to come down to energy balance first. Right. Because most people that join with you guys, most people that come to see me in the clinic, most people have excess weight. Right. So what it first comes down to is energy balance, and all that means is the energy you're taking in and the energy that you're burning. And people that are in the correct energy balance are going to end up being healthier. So people that need to lose weight, they need to be in a negative energy balance. That's first and foremost, because if you don't correct that, and I'll get to talk about the quality of food that may actually improve like outcomes and things like that without changing your weight much. But in general, if you improve your body composition, is if you're an unhealthy weight or if you're having issues from your weight. Some people can have a range of weight and not have any health issues from it, but for the most part, people that have a little bit of excess weight will get a little bit healthier, improving that. So first things first, it has to be the primary thing thinking of. Now, people that don't have any weight to lose, which may be a small percentage of patients that are like that, and I see some things in their labs, maybe there is a quality component. And so what most people think of, they think of like eating clean, maybe eating vegetables, and that's eating clean. And I'm sure you've had podcasts talking about what does clean even mean. Alan Aragon had a good, you were at the fitness summit last year where he talked about, and like with bodybuilders, people understand what eating clean is. It is eating more lean meats and vegetables. But what Alan was saying, well, where on the spectrum is it? What what's cleaner, broccoli or a chicken breast? What does that even mean? And you can get in these weird, spectrums and try to figure out what that actually means. But I think for the most part, healthy eating is, eating more of a plant-based diet, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of plants, but then having it within the confines of your energy balance. And the other thing that's important too is protein, because you are getting nutrients from protein, and you're also getting nutrients from fat sources. But then at the same time, there's a psychological component. You can obsess over this healthy eating so much to where it becomes unhealthy, right? That's kind of this idea of orthorexia.
Oh, yeah.
You try to get so healthy that it actually becomes unhealthy. So I would say healthy eating comes down to understanding an energy balance. If you have excess weight, you want to be in a more negative energy balance, at least until you get to a healthier weight. Then number two, it is looking at the quality of the food. And, some people will, break it down further and go into macronutrient composition. But I don't like to get too far into that, other than you do want a sufficient amount of protein. Do you guys prescribe a certain amount of protein for each client?
Yeah, so we'll set their protein, fat, and carbs up. And usually, like you said, our goal is not to literally say we're going to save their health, but to know that once we get them to carry less body fat, it's probably going to happen by default.
Yeah.
So it always gets a little hairy when someone is like, well, I just want to be healthier. What do I eat? And it's like, well, It's not so much about what you're going to choose to eat. It's about the entire lifestyle. Are you going to eat the foods you enjoy that have a bunch of nutrients while, living life that will bring your body fat down? Are you going to stay active? Are you going to work out? Are you going to drink water? Are you going to sleep? Are you going to reduce stress? So health, it's interesting that everyone tries to go to food for health and forgets about all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, that's actually a really important thing, because they get obsessed. Like the vegans, they'll be obsessed with their vegan plant-based diet, which, again, eating a lot of plants is very healthy. Every study shows that. Every pretty much diet is focused around that, other than maybe like a super keto diet that's like just, eggs and bacon and butter. But like anybody that really looks at the literature, they'll know that more plants is better for you. But when you obsess over that and then you forget about mental health, sleep, and exercise and physical activity, and then community, I don't know if you've studied the blue zones at all and kind of looked at, loneliness and having a sense of purpose, you start getting into even more things of health, because healthy eating is it's a component, and it is important, but it's only one portion of what actual total health and preventive lifestyle medicine is. So, back to the healthy eating stuff, high nutrient diet within an energy balance that you deem is fit for your weight, while also enjoying your life. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to, because somebody could potentially go on, people do the Twinkie diet and all sorts of these different diets, and someone could potentially be eating tons of vegetables, but they're also putting a bunch of butter in their coffee potentially, and then also eating a bunch of other foods that put them in a positive energy balance, and their labs will look horrendous, and their body weight will be much higher. They'll have an excess abdominal, we call it abdominal adiposity, but just excess belly fat really is what it is. And if they went to, like, say, a Twinkie diet where it's just it's a negative energy balance with Twinkies, they'll actually get healthier. It seems crazy, but because they'll lose that abdominal obesity, their labs and all their markers will get better, and they'll actually feel better. Now, I don't recommend that, but you start looking at the ends of the spectrum, and it has to come down to energy balance first.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because we see a lot of times in the group, someone is like, hey guys, I'm really craving chocolate. I don't want to eat real chocolate. What's a good alternative? And I'll tell them nothing. Don't even try to duplicate it, because you're just satisfying that need or false need for chocolate. I think practice is huge with dieting. And I'll tell people too, like, put something on a plate, stare at it, and tell yourself you don't have to eat it. And just getting better at those situations can be huge for people.
It is. It's not putting that that food on a pedestal. You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? It's just food.
That's it.
It's not like, so like, and people compare, Oreos to cocaine and stuff like that. But it's like, the Oreo is not cocaine. You can die from one hit of cocaine. Just a bump. All you need is a bump, and you can have what's called a coronary vasospasm. You can have a heart attack right then and there. You're not going to have a heart attack from that one Oreo. So yeah, there may be some parts of the brain that hit the same way, but not nearly as strong. I mean, come on, but. It's a little bit different of an issue here. So don't put that food on a pedestal to be like, I cannot have that. But look at it and go, look, I could have this if I want. I'm just not going to. It's hard to teach that mindset, but that's what I teach. It's like, look, of course you can have the cookies, the Oreos, whatever, the chocolate, but take a look at it and go, really, does that thing really have power over you? Sure, there may be some dopaminergic actions and maybe opioid things going on in the brain. And yeah, there is some overlap with addiction and addictive-like substances. But truly, in that moment, that food really doesn't have power over you. The other thing is there's something called surfing the urge. Surfing the urge is basically this idea that people think the cravings are going to get worse and worse and worse, right? They're kind of worried about that. So, like, oh my God, I'm craving this cookie. Oh my God, I just have to have it. It's like, yeah, you can have it if you want. Don't put it on a pedestal. That'll make you want it even more. But the cravings will actually, it's kind of like a wave. It'll kind of go up, 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 up. And then after about 30 minutes or so, it'll kind of come crashing down. So if you surf it and go, you know what? I know this craving is going to get worse for a little bit, but it's actually not going to last forever. If you can understand that and realize not to put these foods on pedestals, you're going to go, wow, I kind of want that. I'm not going to have it. I could have it if I want. I'm just not going to. And again, easier said than done. Like, I'm not be like, oh yeah, of course, this is so easy. But if you adopt that mindset and start practicing it, like you said, put it on a plate and just look at it, and just go, this thing doesn't have control over me. That's ridiculous.
That's it. Empower yourself.
And look, as an obesity physician who learns the complexities and what we call pathophysiology of the reward center in the brain, there are some chemical things that are making you want that food. There can be some disruptions in your reward center, this mesolimbic center of your brain. It can get really complicated. I'm not a neurobiologist, but I study it a lot because I have to know it. But there are real things going on. However, it still does not have power over you. You are still in control at that moment. And if you practice, like everything that Mike says, you can get over that. Actually, people think that cravings increase as they lose weight. That's actually not true. They actually decrease. And if you decrease the frequency of it, like I said before, and realize you can have it, the cravings will come down. So it's not something that's forever anyway.
That's a good point, too. And what's cool about the app we're coming out with, we have a temptation tracker on it. Oh. So my plan for this thing is, when someone has a temptation, they open it up and hit a button, and it's going to total the amount of temptations they have over time. And as they get better, more, skillful at dieting and things like that, it'll come down. So we can show people that not only are you getting better physically, but mentally you're improving exponentially.
That's amazing. That's a good way to give objective data to people. Right. It's their subjective feelings, but it turns into objective data that they can monitor. I like that idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to see. Now, is there any foods that you think people should avoid entirely? Is it like trans fats, alcohol? Is there like one thing people need to worry about in terms of impacting their health negatively?
Yeah, I mean, trans fats are always those things have been banned all over the place. I don't even know where people are getting trans fats now, unless they're maybe cooking certain oils and it's turning to trans fat. I would actually avoid trans fat. I don't even know where you'd get it. You'd have to find some partially hydrogenated stuff or the equivalent in certain foods. I'm not even sure where they're located anymore because it's become such a public health issue.
Is it in margarine still, or are they?
Well, no, they've tried to remove it. So they're making those better. I mean, that would be one thing to easily avoid. I wouldn't even use margarine anyway. I mean, they've tried to make these things pretty good, but putting these plant sterols and stanols in them. But, whatever. Margarine doesn't taste that good. If you want to use a little bit of butter, it's fine. So the thing is, I'm big into lipids, cholesterol and triglycerides and all these different things. And where you get a lot of issues are people that use a lot of butter. And these are people that follow like a paleo type of diet, a ketogenic type of diet, where they're told that saturated fat's not bad for you. So it's not small little bits of saturated fat. Like, think if you have some bread and you spread a little bit of butter on that bread. Ideally, you're not putting a full serving. But if you kind of, use the stick of butter and kind of slowly, make a few little swipes at your bread, that doesn't amount to much. That's not going to affect your lipids or your health. It's the people that use high amounts of this stuff. And those are the people that are putting butter in their coffee. They have a ribeye and they're melting butter on top of it with some cheese and things like that. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of saturated fat, but saturated fat is an umbrella term. There's all sorts of different types of what they call saturated fatty acids that are within these types of foods, and different foods have different effects. So the saturated fat in butter, maybe the similar kind of saturated fat in cheese, but the cheese will not have as much of an effect on you due to the protein and these different little milk fat globulin membrane chemicals, molecules in the cheese. It gets complicated, but anyway, so there's not any real food that I tell people to avoid. I try to do the thing where you say, focus on these foods first. Mm-hmm. Try to get these in. Have a discretionary amount of calories that, what normal people eat. You don't want to become a complete robot unless you want to. Some people do. I mean, but they're not. When you really talk to them, you can just tell. You're like, oh wow, so you eat this way, and they're doing all this stuff, and then you get to know them a little better, and you're just not normal.
You're like, get out there, man. Have a cookie, have a glass of wine, do something. We're big on having people reduce alcohol. Not so much from an immediate health standpoint, but what alcohol kind of encourages people to do. Like, it's not just the calories. It's that alcohol is often paired with bad decisions, late night snacking, going out and about, and just not really caring about anything but the moment. So, I mean, do you have any suggestions or info about how alcohol could affect health?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excess intercourse. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. Not really, actually. That happens to my patients. But no, it is. So when you look at the health effects of just alcohol by itself, and then if you look at the body composition effects, if you broke it down and you tell people to completely avoid alcohol, that's fine. If people don't like to drink anyway, it's not a big deal. But there are a lot of people that just love alcohol. So for women, the guideline is generally the equivalent of 1 drink per day.
Okay.
For men, it's 1 to 2. But if somebody doesn't drink alcohol, we don't tell them to start just for possible health effects, because there are some possible positive health effects and then there's some possible negative health effects. So we don't tell them to start drinking. But if they are already drinking, the goal is at least to get them down to the 1 or maybe 2 if they're a guy drink per day. Now, for body composition purposes, like you said, is 1 drink. And again, this isn't going to be like a high sugary cosmopolitan, type of drink, but is the equivalent of 1 shot of vodka or 1 small glass of wine. And remember, it's not to fill up the whole glass of wine. It's actually a lot smaller than you think. You see the cartoon or the picture of, I'll just have, my doctor said 1 glass, and it's this huge goblet that fills up the whole table or whatever. But no, in the totality of your whole diet, 1 small glass of wine per night likely will fit within your calories and everything like that. And will that actually stop the inhibitions from eating the snacks later? If you're a small person and you don't drink that often, maybe 1 glass will kind of get you a little tipsy and maybe, take out those inhibitions to eat, a bloomin' onion or something like that. But for most of my patients, if they're not drinking, we don't have them start. I assume that fits with your guys' guidelines.
Same here. We're not go start cracking the bottles open and enjoy. No.
Yeah. I mean, I try to hone in, because the other thing is, a lot of times they don't want to admit that they're having, they say, I drink 1 or 2 per night. that may be true, or it could mean they're having like 2 to 4 or maybe 4 to 5 per night. They just don't want to admit it. So it's one of those things where you got to get a good relationship with your client, or with me, with my patients, and go, look, a small amount of drinking may be actually helpful for you, but if you're trying to lose weight, if you're drinking, I have patients that drink a bottle of wine per night. If they cut that single thing out, or at
game
least
changer.
It's huge. I mean, but that can be a hard thing, because then there can be true cravings. You know how you have cravings for Oreos and whatever.
Yep.
Alcohol can be a real issue for that. But there are things to work around that. But that is one thing. So like one drink, if somebody's drinking one drink and they know for sure there's only one small drink, they're measuring it out per night, likely not going to be a big issue for their body composition, and especially if it's not messing with their inhibitions. But so I'm sure. What are you guys? Do you guys have guidelines on that for what you guys do, or how do you individualize or whatever?
So we basically say, like, at least when you first start, like, try to cut it out, just to clean slate, start fresh. Yeah. If you do track it, we have some Stronger You entries for alcoholic beverages in MyFitnessPal. Yeah. So what we do, and this was just my own kind of thought, for every drink you have, add like another 10 grams of fat plus 10 grams of carbs, just to add some calories up and account for like the metabolic processes, what alcohol kind of slows down. Yeah. So it's kind of like just my way of having people drink a little bit less by taking away some of their food.
I think that's very reasonable, and it would probably help with folks. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
But so we're probably going to wrap up now, but just to recap. So basically, to be healthy with food, eat the right amount to put you in the favorable body composition, eat lots of plants, fruits and vegetables, lean meats, proteins. Don't get crazy with the snacking. Just kind of make that your lifestyle. Stay active. And would you add anything to that, Spencer? Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, so mixed nuts and olive oil. If you're going to focus on any fats at all, make them mixed nuts and olive oil. Healthiest fats you can eat. Obviously fish oil and stuff, but that would come in the fish. Yeah, that's simply it. And then having a discretionary amount of within your calorie allotment, your energy balance, if that helps you stay sane. Some people, I don't know, they don't need to snack, they just need portion control. But some people, it's just a small little treat makes them feel better.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Spencer, for joining us. I love having you on here. You're an awesome doctor, man. Super, super big help for me. So anyone that wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that? Or how can they follow you?
Easiest way is on Facebook. Dr. Spencer Nadolsky is the best way. Instagram, I have a lot of cool pictures and a lot of simple, eating tips on there. At Dr. Nadolsky. I'm on Twitter as well. I don't use it as much, but at Dr. Nadolsky. I have my blog, drspencer.com. And then if you want to have me as your online doctor, partnered with Stronger You, it's steadymd.com/StrongerYou. And that's where you can reach me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the Stronger You Radio, and tuned in for more episodes coming soon.
Thanks for having me.
Stronger You Radio is a broadcast wellness production powered by StrongerYouFit.com. Content copyright Stronger You. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Thanks for listening to Stronger You Radio. For more information on the podcast, visit StrongerYouPodcast.com.